Imagine this. A civilization spanning 25 million planets, all run from one place, Trantor. A single city covering an entire world, packed with, tens of billions of people.
Mm-hmm. Incredible scale.
But what could possibly make something that vast fragile?
That's the question, isn't it? Today we're looking into Isaac Asimov's foundation, specifically those early days. The Galactic Empire, the start of the foundation itself.
And for anyone wanting to dig even deeper into these kinds of big ideas, there's a great resource called Mindful Moments over on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. They use AI for book analysis. Really gets you thinking. It's perfect for exploring complex stuff like this.
Definitely worth checking out. So our goal today is really to pull out the key predictions, the founding moments from the start of foundation, and figure out why they matter.
Right. And it all kicks off with Gul Dornick arriving on Trantor. Just imagine him, this young mathematician from a, quiet outer planet called Sunax.
But suddenly stepping into this planet-wide city, the sheer wonder must have been immense.
Absolutely. And Asimov really uses Gul's perspective to show us Trantor's scale, this administrative engine of the whole Galactic Empire.
And the numbers are just staggering. 75 million square miles of city, over 40 billion people. I mean, it's the heart of everything.
There are nearly 25 million worlds, yeah. But that centralization, that's the hidden catch, isn't it?
The vulnerability.
Exactly. Trantor depended completely on all those outer worlds for, everything. Food, resources, the basics.
Yeah.
Any disruption, big trouble.
And Gul walks right into this, heading for Hari Seldon's mysterious project.
Right, the Seldon project. He doesn't know much about it yet.
Until he actually meets the man himself, Hari Seldon. And that's when the bombshell drops.
The big one. Seldon tells him flat out, Trantor, this whole planet city, will be completely destroyed within 3 centuries.
Wow. Just like that. How does he even justify that kind of prediction?
Well, Seldon's reasoning is based on his mathematics, psychohistory. He sees Trantor becoming too specialized, too dependent, making it a prime target. Plus, you've got shaky imperial successions, people losing their sense of civic duty. It all adds up in his equations to a near certainty of collapse.
You can imagine Gul just staring at him, right? Like, this is the invincible empire.
Total disbelief. But Seldon is absolutely convinced. And things move fast after that.
How so?
Well, almost immediately, Gul gets pulled in for questioning. The Commission of Public Safety wants to know all about the Seldon project, especially this, Trantor is going to be destroyed business.
And they were already watching him.
Oh, yeah. Surveillance started the moment he landed. Shows how nervous the Empire already was about Seldon's ideas.
Gul tries to play it cool, right? Just a scholar, not interested in politics.
He does. He emphasizes his academic background. But it doesn't really work. The authorities are definitely suspicious.
Which leads to that meeting with the lawyer, Avakim.
Exactly. A hushed conversation, away from listening devices. And Avakim basically tells Gul, look, the odds are stacked against you guys. Conviction is highly probable for Seldon and anyone involved.
And then bang, arrests.
Yep. Both Gul and Hari Seldon are taken into custody.
Which brings us to the trial. Before the Commission of Public Safety again, with Lin Shen in charge, what's the prosecution's angle?
The advocate tries to paint the Seldon project as this huge, treasonous conspiracy. Claims there are almost 100,000 members plotting against the Empire.
Which is way off, right?
Completely. Seldon calmly corrects him. Says it started with 50 mathematicians, plus Gul now, just a small academic group.
But the real fight is about psychohistory itself.
That's the core, yeah. The advocate basically says, this math stuff is nonsense, nobody understands it, how can it be real? He dismisses it as, too obscure.
How does Seldon counter that?
He uses an analogy, compares it to thermodynamics.
Oh.
Says, look, you don't need to understand how a fusion engine works to know it does work. Complex truths are still true, even if only experts grasp the details.
But the advocate accuses him of actually wanting Trantor to fall, of trying to build an army.
Right, that's the accusation, malicious intent. Seldon flatly denies it. He argues the real disaster would be the uncontrolled chaos after the Empire collapses.
Ah, so he's not trying to cause the fall, but manage the aftermath.
Precisely. He says the fall is inevitable, locked in by historical forces. But the period of anarchy that follows, that usually lasts 30,000 years.
30,000 years.
Yeah. But, Seldon argues, if his project is allowed to continue, they can shorten that dark age drastically, down to just a single millennium.
1,000 years instead of 30,000? That's huge.
It is. He calls it a delicate moment in history, needing just a small nudge in the right direction.
So does this incredibly logical argument win them over?
Not exactly. The trial gets adjourned. Seldon actually expects they'll try to negotiate privately, cut some kind of deal.
But that's not what happens.
No, the decision comes down.
Yep.
Exile. Seldon, Gall, and the whole project team are to be shipped off to Terminus, a remote planet way out on the edge of the galaxy.
And Gall asked Seldon, were you serious? Would executing you really have made the fall happen faster?
He does. And Seldon confirms it. Adds this interesting observation, too. Says, politicians often have this gut feeling, an instinct for the truths psychohistory reveals, even if they don't understand the math.
Huh. So exile it is. They end up on the university grounds on Trantor briefly, right? That little patch of green in the metal world.
Yeah, a stark contrast before they're sent off.
Okay, now jump forward 50 years. We're on Terminus. The Foundation is established, working on the Encyclopedia Galactica under Director Perrin.
That's the setup. But things aren't stable out there in the periphery. The nearby prefects, like Anacreon, they're starting to act like independent kingdoms. The Empire's grip is clearly weakening.
And this creates tension within the Foundation itself.
Big time. Perrin is totally focused on the Encyclopedia. That's the mission, right? But Salvor Hardin, the mayor of Terminus City, he's looking at the political reality. Anacreon's getting bold. Terminus is isolated and, frankly, weak.
So Perrin's head is in the books. Hardin's worried about survival.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And all this is happening as they approach the 50th anniversary of the Foundation, when Seldon's time vault is scheduled to finally open.
And right on cue, trouble arrives. The Anacreonians show up.
Yep, a delegation led by Sub-Prefect Anselm Hot Roderick. And they're not subtle. They basically strut in, acting superior.
Looking down on the scientists and their encyclopedia project.
Completely condescending. But Hardin notices something crucial. He realizes Anacreon, for all its bluster, doesn't have nuclear power anymore. The Empire kept that tech centralized, and it's decayed in the provinces.
Key weakness.
A vital piece of information. Just as Anacreon delivers its ultimatum. Basically, submit to our authority or else.
How does Hardin handle that? He doesn't just react, does he?
No, he's clever.
Yeah.
He uses symbolic logic, actually, to break down their demands, analyze the situation. He realizes the problem is bigger than just Anacreon acting up. He even starts wondering why there weren't any top psychologists in the original group sent to Terminus.
He's thinking strategically, analyzing the underlying patterns and weaknesses. It's that kind of critical thinking, looking beyond the surface, that, platforms like Mindful Moments and discussions like ours try to encourage when facing complex info.
Absolutely. He's deliberately inactive, waiting, analyzing.
Until the big day arrives, the 50th anniversary, the time vault opens.
The moment they've all been waiting for. And out comes this holographic image of Hari Seldon.
What's his message? Does he confirm the prediction?
He does. Concerns the Empire is falling, that barbarism is coming, reaffirms the Foundation's purpose. Shorten that dark age to 1,000 years.
But then comes the twist about the encyclopedia.
The big reveal. Seldon says the Encyclopedia Galactica, it was essentially a fraudulent project.
A fraud? But why?
A necessary distraction. A way to get the scientists exiled to Terminus, to put them in the right place at the right time, without revealing the real plan too early. It was a setup.
Wow, so all that work was just misdirection.
A carefully planned maneuver. And he confirms the current situation with Anacreon. That's the first crisis he predicted they would face.
And because Hardin figured out Anacreon lacks nuclear power.
Seldon basically assures them, yeah, you've got this. You'll figure out how to handle this crisis. Because the solution is already inherent in the conditions.
So, wrapping this first part up, we see this incredible prediction of a galactic decline, the deliberate creation of the Foundation as a counterforce, and then successfully navigating that very first test, all based on understanding the hidden realities of the situation.
Exactly. It shows the power of foresight, but also the need for adaptation and, like Hardin showed, careful observation when the crisis actually hits.
And listeners, you handle complex information all the time. It's worth thinking about, isn't it? Long-term planning, these subtle forces pushing history. It's fascinating stuff.
Definitely makes you think.
So here's something to chew on. If the encyclopedia, something that seemed so straightforward, was actually a deliberate misdirection, what other things that seem obvious today might have deeper, hidden purposes shaping where we're heading?
Ooh, That's a good one. Makes you look at things differently.
It does. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Keep informed with us. Share this with anyone else who enjoys digging into these kinds of ideas.
And if you want the full story, grab Isaac Asimov's Foundation. We've put a link in the show notes. It's a classic for a reason.
Absolutely. And most importantly, just keep questioning, keep thinking critically about the information that comes your way. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.